Wind isn't too bad, but here's just an update on a couple things I've done to the truck. So I just put those clearance lights. You can get them at Harbor Freight, you can get them at O'Reilly's, AutoZone, depending on how you want them to look. I actually have that same setup on my 250. It just makes the front end of this truck just stand out in the middle of the night. I just mocked them up, drilled some holes, self-tapping screws, and wired them up to the running lights. Now, the big thing on this thing is a 4-inch rough country lift kit. I pieced this together over about a span of 6 months. I pulled a lot of the parts from the junkyard, and everything came off a truck that a lot of the parts that these trucks it came off of, there was no damage to it. It was I mean, it wasn't like a front end crash. It wasn't T-boned, and it wasn't rolled over. It was they're beat to hell. It looked like a work truck, but I got the front leaf springs, I got the shocks, and I got the drop pitman arm, and I got the track bar bracket. Drop track bar bracket is, I think, actually a skyjacker, as with the pitman arm. It had the tag on there, but I ended up scraping it off. Steering components, all new steering components. Tie rod, drag link, steering bar, whatever the hell you want to call that fucking thing. New track bar, new steering stabilizers. That's just a steering stabilizer that's a dual bracket that came off the truck, the twin traction beam 250. I just mocked it up. There's a hole over there on that leaf spring lower mount, and it'll hold that other end. It does just fine. Again, all new wheel alignment, all new. Everything's damn well taken care of. I mean, look at those ball joints. I mean, I got a wheel alignment done, and the RV shop was really surprised for a truck this old how well those ball joints were, and everything came together to the point that I could do about 85, 90 miles an hour down the interstate with one finger on the steering wheel, and she'll hold up. She'll ride nice and smooth. After the lift, steering wheel is a little offset due to the compression and the expansion of the steering components. Took about an hour working that by myself. But I said those leaf springs, it came off of a twin traction beam 250, and they fit just perfect. The shocks, same thing. They came off the 250. The rear leaves, it's basically a bastard pack. I bought some leaf springs off Craigslist. The guy was parting out his 350. I just added an extra leaf so I could have 5 and the overload, just like the ones that came off the truck. New U-bolts. Lift blocks are from 4-wheel parts. They're not the rough country lift blocks. Yeah, hate on me because they're stacked. Oh well. But there's some beefy lift blocks. They're heavy too. I think they're cast. I don't want to say cast iron or whatever, but they're about just as heavy as those factory ones, and they're a heck of a lot wider. I mean, you can tell. It sits over that leaf spring perch. I mean, just look how much longer it sits over, and it's the exact same thing on the front. So they're wide, or they're long. Width, just a little bit narrower. Just a little narrower. Now you're maybe also wondering, here's my brake line. That slack. It's a 4-inch lift kit with a 6 leafs in the pack, 1 overload, 4-inch block, 3-inch tapered. So you get, that's the factory line. Still got quite a bit of slack in there. Other than that, everything just went through everything meticulously. New center pins for the leaf spring. New hardware for the leafs. New U-bolts. Everything's anti-seized to make it a hell of a lot easier next time getting this stuff off. On that, just painted the bumper. That's plasti dip. Color doesn't quite match, but oh well, who cares? It peels right off. Plasti dip the tires. Plasti dip the door handles. Added some lights. Clearance lights from O'Reilly's. And these are some LEDs that I found at a truck stop going down to Georgia. Said this truck didn't have the lift kit on it when I went to Georgia. I drove from Colorado to Georgia, Georgia to Ohio, Ohio back to Georgia, and then from Georgia all the way back to Colorado. And all those steering components, I did all that steering components right before I left, and had no problems with it, except for once I got the lift kit on, the steering stabilizer, it was probably about 2 years old, it finally gave way, finally blew up on me. So those are 2 brand new steering stabilizers. Those steering components are about 3 months old. So 1,500 miles to Georgia, 1,500 miles back. I think like 700 miles to Ohio, 700 miles from Ohio to Georgia. So 15 plus 14, looking at what, about 3,000 miles. That steering alignment, steering components held up. And even after the lift, I haven't even done an alignment, and she still rides straight down the road. A little bit of pull, but it could be because my tires are a lot worn out. But if you guys have any questions, please ask. I greatly will answer anything that you have, any questions that you have. I did a lot of research on this before I even committed to even undoing one bolt. So if you want to do a 4-inch lift kit and you got a crew cab 350 dually 4-wheel drive, or you got a 250, 4-wheel drive, and you want to do a rough country, just ask away, because I spent months piecing together this lift kit, asking questions that anyone that had a 4-inch lift kit. So a lot of guys you'll see, they'll do the reverse shackle kit. They'll do what is it, X codes, J codes, whatever fucking code, fucking Super Duty leaf spring. I mean, shit. And if you got the money to spend and you want to just drop money on it, oh, this is how she's gonna look. So shit, those are 265 75 16s, and the bottom of that truck nearly freaking clears at probably about 4 or 5 inches, and it'll clear that tire. So any questions at all, any questions about the lift kit, how I tackled it, what tools you needed, again, it took me 1 weekend to put the lift kit on. 2 weekends if you count me rebuilding the leaf springs for the rear and then putting them in. I put those in the weekend before, and then I tackled the lift kit the second weekend. all by myself, just a couple power tools, and no lunch or breakfast. One hell of a dinner though every day. So you got a question, ask, be gladly to answer. The ride quality, I know that's maybe one thing you guys are thinking about, ride quality. I don't see a difference. I don't see a difference between the way it rode stock with $25, $30 O'Reilly's AutoZone shocks, because mine were blown out, and Gabriel Ultras in the rear. It doesn't ride any different. Actually, it probably rides a little bit smoother just because the shocks are a little newer. Other than that, it feels the exact same to me. I'm just staring down at people a little. So again, next is going to be tires, and then exhaust. So if you guys have any questions about the lift kit, this is about how it's going to look. It may sit a little bit lower in the rear, because I think most trucks that this lift kit goes to, the block in the rear is it's like an inch and 3/4 or an inch and a half. I don't know. I've seen a lot of damn fucking lift blocks for these trucks. So if you got the 4-inch or that size lift block in the rear and you got a dually, all you got to get is custom U-bolts. That is all. Even then, you may be able to get away with it. Maybe. Like I said, I'll try and find the sheet for those U-bolts. But all I did was I just measured the leaf spring, measured the factory block, and then I measured the block that I added, and I got a shop to build me U-bolts that long. I told him make it about 2 inches longer, and all you had to do is just cut down the threads. I cut about 1/2 inch off those threads, just so I can get a deep socket over it. Other than that, everything went together, like it should. I don't want to say smoothly, because there was a lot of cuss words and throwing tools, but this is how high she's gonna sit. Now you got kind kind of see my, you see my shadow in the truck. So I'm standing straight up. I'm all about 5'11", 6 feet with my boots on, and she goes about to my armpit. Now, I don't know if I covered this, but bottom of the cab, right there, so my finger's in between the running board, about mid-thigh. Again, I'm 5'11", 6 feet with these boots on, and she goes about mid-thigh. So probably look a little bit taller if I took those running boards off, but man, look at that running board. Thing is massive. Can't get rid of that thing. But anyways, wind's getting a little crazy out here. Might be a little annoying, but if you guys have any questions, I'm going to answer this one question. No, it's not for sale. But any questions at all, please ask. I'd gladly point you in the direction that I had to go, and I'll make some follow along videos of if the ride quality goes to shit, how long it takes for these shocks to give away. I think the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fab up a second mount and then move that shock bracket over and go put me another shock bracket so I can run two. You know, I'm big on the old days, so red shock boots and, you know, old style 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever the hell you want to call it. Everything's going to look like that. None of this stainless steel reservoir bullshit. Again, if you guys have questions, please ask. Anything at all between what size tires I run, how I'm running that size tire, how the ride quality is. You know, I used all grade 8, grade 10 bolts if I could find them. I found them and I put those things in there. Anti-seize everything, anti-seize, anti-seize, anti-seize everything. I mean, shit, you don't know how much that's going to help you out 5-6 months from now, especially if you live in the north or you live somewhere where they plow and it snows. Anti-seize the shit out of that's going to save you fucking time in the back end. But again, it's getting kind of windy, so any questions, just go ahead and ask. I'll try and get back to you as quick as possible. But there's a truck. Get you a far off view of it. So, alright. Again, it's a 94 350 conversion, 4-inch rough country lift kit. Running 265 75/16s.